Good evening or good afternoon. Hello, good morning, wherever you are. Thank you for joining the Zen and Zazen class on Monday. As always, let's sit together for 30 minutes and then I will say a few things, and later if you have questions, please ask questions or share things that you would like to share. But before that, let's sit together.
我们前面还是30分钟坐禅，然后再一块儿讨论啊。
Thank you for sitting with me. Today I want to say a few things about, well, these are that's how I write it. It's not very beautiful, but in Japanese you read these two characters Jiu. Japan, until about 150 years ago, the whole country was closed for more than 200 years. Only the Dutch and the Chinese were allowed to enter the country in a port in the south, Nagasaki. But 150 years ago, the country opened up and was exposed to Western culture. And they needed to somehow get a grasp of Western concepts like democracy, liberty, freedom, rights, and stuff like that. And they need to find words to translate all these concepts. And these two characters, which I just showed you, Jiu, were used to translate the concept of liberty or freedom.
我们今天聊自由，就是我们今天读老师那本书里面，就是洪涛老师写的那本书里面的自由。老师说其实在200年前，日本也是闭关锁国的，就是九州的那个 Nagasaki， 中文它那个地名叫什么呀 ？Nagasaki 从那儿开始，就是日本开始这个国家打开的，之前也是就是大家其实都很不自由的，是从200年，其实也是从200年前，日本也是就是很各种信息就是不流通，然后也是最近才开始大家慢慢的一点点开放的。
So where do these two characters come from? Or actually you can write it with 4 characters as well. There's also a phrase Jiu Jizai. Jiu Jizai means, in short, I think, to be in one's element. For example, Dogen Zenji uses the metaphor of a flying bird or fish that swims in the ocean. And a bird or a fish is Jiu Jizai. They are in their element. They are totally free. But of course, freedom for the fish doesn't mean that it can fly in the sky. But the fish is totally free when the fish is in the ocean, because the fish is in its element. And freedom for the bird also doesn't mean that the bird can swim in the ocean. It would die in the ocean. But in the sky, the bird is totally free. And also these two characters, Jiu, like Ji means the self, so this part, that's the self, and Yu can mean something like to rely on, to rely on. So Jiu also means to rely on yourself. And there's the story where Ananda asked the Buddha, when the Buddha is already very old and close to dying, Ananda, his closest disciple, asks him, well, what shall we do after you die? What should we rely on? And the Buddha says, you shouldn't rely on me. So when I die, there's really nothing to worry, because you still have the Dharma to rely on, and you have yourself to rely on. If you rely on anything outside of yourself, you will never be stable. But if you find, how do you say that, space that you can rely on in yourself, then you're free.
自由这2个词，还可以翻译成自由自在。它和自由是一个字，可以翻译成自由自在。道元禅师每次提到自由这个词的时候呢，他都会提到2个动物，一个是鱼，还有一个是鸟。 就是鱼是在水里的时候，在海里面的时候是自由的，而鸟在天空中是自由的。但是你并不能说鱼的自由是在天空，你也不能说鸟的自由是在海洋，因为那不是它的自由，它的自由一定是它自己属于的那个自由。然后我们看这两个字，第一个字呢，它就是自己的意思，那个由就是由源由来依靠。那个由是依靠的意思，所以自由你还可以把它翻译成依靠自己，要依赖自己，依靠自己。就是在佛祖快要就是佛祖有一个徒弟叫阿难，我不知道大家就是读过佛的那个都知道哈，有一个大弟子叫阿难啊。然后阿难之前问过佛祖说，那个佛祖在你死后之后，在涅槃之后呢，我们应该依靠谁呢？然后佛说你其实不应该依靠我，我现在还没有涅槃，我还在，你也不应该依靠我。你如果当然我走了之后你也不用担心，因为如果你依靠的是自己之外的任何的人或者任何的事物，其实都是不可能自由的。你只有依靠自己才能是自由的。
So you could argue that that might be a difference between Buddhism and other religions, because in other religions often you rely on something outside of yourself. For example, in Christianity you would rely on God and Jesus. But in Buddhism it's very strongly emphasized that you rely only on yourself. You have to find your own elements. And to be in your element, for me, basically, it means to be right here, right now, to be in the moment. Freedom, on the other hand, doesn't mean that you always do what you want. If freedom would mean that you just do what you want, you would be a slave to your desires. Rather, freedom means to also be free from this always having to do what you want. So in a way you could say the greatest freedom you can have is to just be free to sit and to be free from all the duties that you have during the rest of the day, but also free from this, like for example if you have your smartphone, well, you're free to do anything on that smartphone. You can go to Twitter, you can go to Instagram, you can do everything. But often we realize after a couple of hours with our smartphone, it's not that I deliberately used my smartphone, but often we realize I've been used by my smartphone. While during Zazen, nobody's using you. Nobody's using you. From the outside, it might look as this is quite an unfree position. You shouldn't be moving, you cannot do anything, you're not allowed to speak. But actually, it's the greatest freedom you can have. You're completely in your element. You're here now, and nobody can use you. Even your desires, your impulses, in this moment, you can just let them be. They cannot do anything with you.
当然，老师说当然佛和其他的宗教可能有些不一样哈，像其他一些宗教可能让你依赖于主，比如说基督教或者是其他一些宗教，它是有一个信仰，你要依赖于谁，但是佛教不是这样的，它就是佛教特别强调你要找到自己，找到自我，找到你的本源，要知道你是谁。对于老师来说，他认为的那个自由呢，其实他认为的那个自己就是我要意识到现在那个我在干什么，就是他认为老师的那个认为我找到的那个自己哈，就是现在我在干什么，现在那个我。当然我们说的自由呢，自由不是你想做什么就做什么，不是你做你想做的事情，你想做什么都可以，那叫自由，那个不叫自由。那个自由其实是你在为自己的欲望而奴隶，你那个自由其实不是，比如你想有什么你就去做什么，那个不是自由。那个如果你一直是这样的话，它其实是你是在做自己欲望的一个奴隶。什么是自由呢？就是你不要 完全是自己，不要受其他一些限制。老师举一个例子哈，比如说手机，当然我们用手机你是自由的哈，比如你想看哪个网站就可以看哪个网站，然后你想看哪些内容呢，你就可以看哪些，你是自由的。但是过了1-2个小时之后，你会发现其实不是你在用手机，而是手机在用你，而是手机在消费你。其实它在引导你去看这个看那个，或者是你的一些欲望哈，在消费你，所以这个就不是自由。所以自由不是去做你想做什么，就是满足你的这个欲望，这个不是自由。自由应该是只享受在自己当中，而不依赖于别人，不要用别的东西来消费自己，或者是你认为你在用一个东西，其实那个东西好反过来在用你。不要用那别的一些事情来消费自己，用自己的时候，在自己当中，你在你的本来的自我当中，那个才是自由。
Maybe in the end, because before we start the Q&A session, there's this very famous Chinese Zen master in Japanese. He's called Rinzai, I think. He is famous for talking about the true man without rank. Mui no shinjin, you say in Japanese. True man without rank. And that's basically the self that we need to rely on. Often, when we hear rely on yourself, we think I have to rely on this individual with his individual qualities. But what we really should rely on is the true man without self, without rank, mui no shinjin. So there's no comparison possible. It's not that I rely on this individual person, but I rely on the reality that I encounter in this moment. And Rinzai also says, in Japanese, it's Zuisho ni shuto nareba tachidokoro shinto nari, which means if you are your own lord, or if you're the lord of your own situation, everywhere, there's nothing that you encounter that wouldn't be the truth. And I think that's what's meant here by jiu, freedom. It certainly doesn't mean to be a slave of your desires, but it means to be the lord of the situation. And to be the lord of the situation means to live the true man without rank.
Can you tape the Japanese?
The Japanese. So, Mui no Shinjin is... Mui... Here. Shin. Yeah, Shin. Jin. So that would be the true man without rank. And the thing that I said in the end, Zuisho. Yeah. Zuisho ni shuto nareba. In the Taiwanese book, you find it towards the end of the chapter. Lisho mina. Shin. Nari. That was the other phrase that I quoted. So what I wrote in the end, that means basically, if you're wherever you are, if you're the Shu, the Lord of yourself, which for me is the same as Mui Shinjin, the true man without rank, then there's nothing that wouldn't be true reality.
老师提到两个，就是这个两个叫俗语吧，然后一个是无位真人，就是如果你是一个真实的现实一个人，其实是没有高低之分的，就是没有段位的哈。然后第二句话呢，就是那个你如果一直是遵循自己的法律，就是遵循你想要做什么的那个法律，其实是没有看到现实的。所以你要看到真实的自己，并且是你这个真实的自己是和现实是在一起的，你不能一直是遵循自己的法律，就是你认为的那个哪个是对的，或者哪个是不对的，其实你可能没有看到现实。然后老师就是今天我给大家发的那个资料里面，最后也有一个哈，就是他随处作主，立处皆真。无论在什么样的情况下，只要保持主体性而活，脚下自然会发现真实的道路。这是老师的理解哈。如果你迷失了当下的自我，这个立足点是怎么也找不到的。也就是你不能一直，就是你要看到当下的自我，并且是找到自己的立足点。然后所以真实呢，自由其实是走在现实和真实的路上的。这是老师的一个认为禅就是里面所讲的自由，并不是你认为你自己一直遵循自己的道路，要看到现实。大概是这个意思。
Thank you. So we still have some time. If you have questions or something that you would like to share, you're welcome. You can raise your hand or you can start just to speak like that. Aiko, please.
Hello, thank you. Well, the question is, where is my true man?
Who's asking the question? Where does the question come from?
That's me. I am asking the question. I think that is the problem. When I'm sitting Zazen with a desire to find the true man or find the true self or whatever you call it, that's already a desire, and that is me using myself, and there is no freedom anymore. So what to do? I don't know. Where's my true man? What to do?
Well, you never separate from the true man in the first place. It's just that when you look for the true man, the direction of your looking is opposite. Actually, this desire to find the true man already comes from the true man. But then you start seeking somewhere else. You always think the true man must be around the corner. But actually, the person that's doing the seeking is the true man. So it's like an ox looking for an ox, to use the example of the ox herding pictures. It's not that you are the herd and you lost your ox and you must find the ox. The ox wakes up and thinks, where's the ox? But you are the ox. Or to use the example that I used in the German videos a couple of days ago, it's like fire looking for fire. Where's the fire? I cannot find fire. Well, you are the fire. In this moment, you are the fire. And it's completely okay that you look for fire. It's just that most of the time you look in the wrong direction. You think that the fire must be somewhere. No, you are the fire.
Thank you. Thank you. I always think that I'm not the ox, but I'm the guy who is searching for the ox.
Yeah.
but not the ox itself. I have to think about it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Anything else you would like to share?
I just wanted to comment on what Aiko said. I was surprised because I keep asking about the screen metaphor that Muho uses, and I get confused, like, what is the screen? What is the awareness? And when you asked your question, you don't ask it in terms of this model of a screen, but it sounded like it's the same question. Like, who is the true man? What is the screen? Now it sounds like it's the same thing. I didn't really. Do you think that's a similar question, Muho?
Yes, I think so.
It's very interesting to me. Thank you.
It's like, this metaphor of the screen is often used. I used it probably in this classes, and you could say that the true man without rank is the screen. And so to ask, well, where can I find it? It's like you're in the movie and you're asking, but where's the screen? I hear that we're all on the screen, but where's the screen? Where can I find the screen? Well, the question already arises on the screen. And probably the closest you can get is when you sit. Just sit and let go. That's when you return to your elements. But usually you don't kind of grasp it. Oh, now I got it. Now I got the true man by his neck. That's I got him. Or like with the ox, now I got him by the nose. You are the ox. But the ox has to rest a little to wake up to the fact, oh, I am that thing. I am that thing. I was chasing my own tail all the time. Like there's this picture, the second picture, the third picture where the guy sees the tail of the ox, but actually in that moment you think, oh, I see the tail of the ox, but actually you see your own tail. It's your own tail in that moment. Xuan, please.
Yeah, I thought about something, like when you're looking for freedom, but when you're recognize freedom, you're free. It's like a lot of people, they are looking for happy or happiness. I have so much pressure about working or practice, but when you recognize you're happy, then you have happiness.
Yes.
I feel it's maybe like that.
Yes. Yeah, it has a lot to do with, I think, accepting your situation. If you're kind of like a bird that would rather be a fish, then you will never be free. You have the whole sky for yourself, but you feel unfree because you say, but I would rather be like that fish. Or the same with the fish. If the fish looks up in the sky and sees the bird and says, I want to be like that bird. And often we humans, when we hear these metaphors, oh, I would like to be like a fish or like a bird. They are so free. They're always in their element. But you are already in your element. You just have to accept that as a human being, you cannot fly like a bird. You cannot swim like a fish. But you can live your life. And of course there are limitations, just like a fish has limitations, a bird has limitations. But if you accept these limitations and live your life fully, then you are free and you're happy, of course. But if you always compare yourself to somebody else living a different life and you say, I would rather have had that life, well, you will never be free, you will never be happy. Aiko, please.
So when I compare myself to the true man, to go back to that again, and I think, oh, I want to be the true man. That sounds so great. I have a true nature inside of me somewhere. I lost the Faden. What did I want to say? Damn, I lost it. Sorry, but anyway, I am always comparing myself to the true man, and when I recognize maybe it's enough to just be me. I don't need to be the true man. It is me. Then the search is over, and I can start from there. Is that the same thing what you just said?
Well, you can compare yourself to other people, and sometimes you feel you have it better. A lot of times you feel you have it worse. You feel like a loser, but you cannot possibly compare yourself to the true man, because there's nothing to compare to. You are the true man. How do you compare yourself to the true man? The true man is beyond comparison, and we feel unfree and unhappy because we always compare ourselves to something, to others, or this imagination, this image that we have of the true man. But that's not the true man. The true man is what you are in this moment. You cannot compare yourself to that.
I just need to wake up to that.
Genjo-san, Chiaki, please.
Hello.
Hello.
True man. I was listening to Eiko, and I think true man, true something. It's something like perfect. So people have got that kind of image. Muho, wie sagt man denn merkellos auf English?
Unfettered? Is there a word like that?
No Fehler.
Yeah. Unfettered.
And that kind of image, each one of us have. What is true? True is no difficulty, no suffer, nothing. True man, even you are in a true man, you have to suffer sometimes. You have a pain sometimes. With those things, you can live still. I understood what Muho said, and people I probably cannot get rid of that image. Oh, I have to be perfect, and if I'm perfect, if the situation is perfect, I'm perfect, then it's true. But the understanding or the image of the truth is also mostly mistaken, misunderstood, I think. And then our suffer is more and bigger, I feel. What would you say? Thank you.
Yes, of course. There is this Jewish joke of somebody who prays in the temple to God, and he prays, "Please God, make me just like Abraham." And God responds, "But why? I already have an Abraham." So becoming the true man doesn't mean that we become a better version of ourselves, but to become ourselves, to live the person that we are with all its failures. Like in Buddhism, we don't talk about God usually, but well, if we use the word God, God wouldn't want us to be like Abraham. God wants us to be ourselves. And that's the meaning of becoming the true man. But that to be ourself, again, doesn't mean to cling to your identity. I'm this person. That makes me myself. But to be a natural self. You don't have to somehow kind of claim this identity for yourself. This makes me different from everybody else, and that's what God wants me to be. Just be this ordinary, not very special self that you are, with all its failures and with all the good side. Just live your life. And when you accept your life and you live it fully, then that's freedom. Xuan-san.
It reminds me something like some students take my class. Maybe they like they wanted to do jump back down throw, or they wanted to do back bends, or they wanted to learn how to do handstands. And a lot of people, they think, oh, I want to do handstand, so I buy a class and then I can do handstand. Actually, it's not like that. You have to really wake up yourself to take the practice. Then maybe you can, maybe handstand is good for you. Maybe you don't need handstand. I think a lot of people, they start training, think this training, this practice is like some other stuff you could buy from the store. Maybe we used to do buy stuff. You go to the store, you want a cake, you buy a cake. You want to eat a noodle, you go there, you get a noodle. Or you want a beautiful clothes, you can get a beautiful clothes. If you want to get it, you can get it. But yoga or training is about you really wake up yourself energy, really do the practice. You found, oh, I could do it. It's not the teacher's class. It's not the teacher teach you. It's I have the energy and then I could do it. I think that's very important for yoga training or other zazen or other practice.
Yes, I think so too. Like there's in Japan very famous D.T. Suzuki. He's the guy who introduced Zen to the West about 100 years ago. And he said basically freedom means that you can move your elbow, but freedom doesn't mean that you can bend your arm in the other direction. If you think I need to bend my arm in that direction, then you would be very unfree and unhappy. But freedom means you can move your arm like that. And maybe other animals, they can move their arms in all directions, but that's not freedom. You can do what you can do. And some people can do a back bend and others can't. But even if you can, do all the tricks that people can do in a circus, you're an acrobat. That doesn't really make you more free than a person who sits in a wheelchair. Even in a wheelchair, you can be a perfectly happy and free person. Any other things that you would like to ask or share? Chris?
I just wanted to tag on to what Xuan said. And in some of the experience I've had doing yoga with her or judo is sometimes when I can do the yoga position better than normal, or zazen better than normal, or even a judo throw better than normal, it's like I'm doing less or doing nothing. I'm just kind of putting my body in the right place, and then it happens. So it sounds like
it's like that position.
It happens. Like maybe the true self is kind of empty in that way, where you're not doing anything. But it just reminded me of what she said.
Yes, thank you. Okay, it's already 9:08, so if you don't have any questions, I would say let's meet again next week. So everybody please have a good year of the rabbits Here in Japan, it already started January 1st, but when was it? Yesterday or day before yesterday?
Sunday was.
Oh, Sunday. So yesterday. Okay, yeah. So enjoy the New Year's holidays. Is it like in Japan that you have it for 3 days or so that you celebrate?
We celebrate whole week.
Oh, the whole week. Good.
every day different subtitle. Whole week.
Fireworks, right?
Yeah.
I see. So hopefully next Monday you don't have an hangover. So yeah, have a nice week and see you again next Monday if you want. Same time, same space. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
想听后来翻译的